I've done it. 3 years of being single, and I've finally gotten a girlfriend. Yes, she, S human. No, she, S not blind. No, she, S not a body pillow. These are the kinds of questions my best friend Mike kept asking me. I was so excited that I wasn't even bothered. Besides, I knew he was just jealous because he'd never even been with a girl before. He's always been the bigger nerd between the two of us, like learning Elvish from Tolkien's books and chanting spells in our D&D games, hardcore nerd stuff. Neither of us are the type of guy that girls tend to hang around though. Mike and I live together. We're both video game streamers, Hearthstone and Dota 2, and we make a living off advertising and tournament winnings. I met Natasha through a Twitch chat room and she happened to live close by. Since the first day we met, we've practically been joined at the hip. We eat every meal together, shower together, even stream together. I don't remember ever being this happy. The only problem is, Mike has decided to make this all about him. He started gaining even more weight, he never goes outside, and all he does is bitch about how I never hang out with him anymore. 51 sleepless nights 278 Natasha decided the solution was for the three of us to go camping together in Yellowstone National Park. Mike would get some exercise, I'd get to hang out with him, and most importantly, Natasha and I wouldn't have to spend any time apart. I regret everything though. Why does everything in nature have to be so damn itchy? It turns out Natasha has a severe misunderstanding about how trails work. She must be a Skyrim player, because she thinks there is only one right way up a mountain, and that's straight up the rock cliffs. If we weren't still at that phase of dating where everything becomes an opportunity to impress each other, I would have given up and gone home. I have no idea how Mike made it, but we all decided the day was over by about 4 p.m. in the afternoon. The view was incredible. No, I'm not just talking about Natasha in her short shorts. She found a practically inaccessible rock ledge overlooking most of the park, and single-handedly hauled all our camping gear up there while Mike and I lay panting on the ground. Campfire, s'mores, a full blanket of stars, it was a great night. Natasha and Mike bonded over Magic the Gathering cards, which I can't believe he packed instead of a lantern, and he finally agreed to start working out and taking better care of himself so he could find a girl too. As the campfire burned down to embers, we started telling ghost stories. I told one about a man-eating Wendigo, Natasha knew a twisted story about a priest who crucified people, and Mike Tobias Wade. Com279 I don't know where Mike stole his story from, but he claimed to have made it up on the spot. I think he was trying to impress Natasha too, but I didn't get jealous. He said it in a sing-song rhyming voice which was super creepy, and I made him write it down afterward. It went like this: I had a dream one fateful night, when day had made its run. When waking world had fled from sight, and silent moon eclipses sun. Into fitful slumber slipped, losing command of my thoughts. Nightmares around me gripped, the familiar had come to naught. I forgot what we've been taught about what cannot cause me harm. My fears abound, in safety sought, I scream to waken in alarm. Only to find we've fallen deeper, down this darkened pit of shade. No sound escapes from silent sleeper, nor outward sign of my dismay. I saw a monster rear its head, somewhere inside of mine. On my dear memories it fed, the beast who devours time. Scything talons raking down, gaping jaws of a giant spider. I was marked as I was found, as the one outsider. Until all I could recall of life, was that I had once loved. Until the two was torn in strife, an arm severed from the glove. There upon the edge of breaking, inside of me a guide would lead. She was the love I, be forsaking, when I opened my eyes from sleep. She took my hand and together ran, from the monster in my mind. We got so far that soon began, what I never thought to find. We lived a day, a season, then year, an entire lifetime in my head. Happy as he who has forgotten fear, of the monster I had dread. Until finally it rose from quiet, when we thought ourselves alone. We had lived lives in spite it, but our life together was on loan. The monster had us caught, trapped and helpless in a corner. With no escape I stood and fought, rather die than be a mourner. Rather lose oneself completely, than forget what I had sworn. 51 sleepless nights 280 death before me, but I would beat he, who would dare to touch her form. I ripped the air with my 2 hands, but as the creature was not real, no blows upon the beast did land, though its talons I could feel. Blooded, broken and abused, I awaited morning's light to heal, and save me from this awful ruse, that my fortune had me sealed. She knelt above me, my lovely queen, and besought me waken from this dream. But what fate would befall her here? Would with the morning she disappear? She bore the monster and its fury, begging only that I woke. Bidding me go, though not to hurry, lest this the last time that we spoke. Sweat soaked, body shakes, I can't remember why I was sad. Throat choked, fully awake, memories flood of the dream I had. Blood trickled down my length, and I thanked each crimson bead. They gave hope and lent me strength, that perhaps she too was freed. And there my bride lay beside me, from my dream she was released. Wearied from dreaming was she, who in the waking world found peace. I woke up to a high-pitched scream in the middle of the night. What the shit? Did a bear get into our camp? I thought we'd be safe from any of the larger wildlife because of the rock ledge. Or maybe it was a mountain lion. I was on my feet, Natasha was already unzipping our tent. Wait, it could be dangerous. Then we've got to help Mike. Tobias Wade, Com 281. I couldn't fault her reasoning. I just wish she had been a little more selfish. I grabbed my cell phone to use as a flashlight, and followed her outside. I'm okay. Sorry, I screamed. Mike was in his boxers, standing outside his tent. You scream like a girl. What happened? I asked. He pointed inside his tent and drew the flap back. Natasha and I peered inside with him. There was a girl, or maybe a goddess, mid-20s, long auburn hair, flawless skin, but naked, lying beside Mike's empty sleeping bag. I turned away for a moment, but looked again as soon as I noticed Natasha wasn't averting her eyes. Who the hell are you? Natasha asked. The girl smiled, making no effort to cover herself. She sat upright and began smoothing out her hair. I had the same dream from that story I found, Mike said. Aha, I knew you didn't make that shit up, I said. Yeah, whatever, Mike replied. But I was dreaming about her. And the beast was there, and, what's your name? Where did you come from? Natasha asked. The girl stretched luxuriously, still smiling. She stood up and wrapped her arms around Mike, peering at us from over his shoulder. Where did you find that story? I asked Mike. He was frozen. 51 sleepless nights, 282 stiff with a mix of terror and rapture. Some book. Doesn't matter. It does matter if it's real, I said. I don't like it, Natasha said. Either tell us who you are, or get out of here. No. Mike stepped protectively in front of her. She's lost without any food, or clothes, or anything. We can't just leave her in the wilderness. You're just saying that because you think you're going to get some. I don't know why I was fighting it. I shouldn't be jealous. I had Natasha. But this just wasn't fair. I don't care, Mike said. I'm going to take her back with us and bring her to a hospital in the morning. Maybe she had a concussion or something. And until the morning? Natasha asked, crossing her arms. The girl pulled away from Mike and settled into his sleeping bag. Mike smiled sheepishly. Well, she seems comfortable here, so, you're an idiot. Natasha rolled her eyes and walked out. Over her shoulder, she added, but if the girl is real, then I wouldn't be surprised if the beast was too. Mike gave me a thumbs up. I laughed, closing the tent behind me. That was the last time I saw Mike alive. When we checked on him in the morning, his ribcage was flayed open. His heart was missing, but there was still some scraps of sinew and part of his Tobias Wade, Com 283 aorta lying in a pool of blood beside the bag. The girl was gone. I threw up in the bushes. Natasha just stared at the grisly scene. We're going home, she said, turning sharply away. I'll start packing. No, she said. Let's just go. We can't leave Mike like this. It's his own damn fault. Now the girl could be anywhere, so let's go now. Natasha was already halfway down the rocky wall, but I wasn't going to run through the forest naked. I opened my tent to grab some pants, but the girl was sitting in my tent. Her naked body was covered in blood, and when she smiled, more blood squirted out from between her teeth. Hurry up, Natasha yelled from outside. I swear to God, I'll leave without you. I was about to turn and run when the bloody girl finally spoke. Help me. Help you. After what you did to it wasn't me. Her smile was gone now, and she looked on the verge of tears. It was the beast. He's free too. If she was telling the truth, then I couldn't just leave her here. If she wasn't, 51 sleepless nights 284 there was another scream outside. Natasha. I leapt from the tent and ran to the place she was climbing down. Her crumbled body was lying on the ground. She must have slipped while climbing. No, there was a dark shape on top of her, like a wolf with impossibly long limbs and an elongated mouth. Natasha. But I was helpless to get to her in time. One bite was enough to snap the rib cage open. I couldn't watch what was going to happen next. I turned around, and the girl was gone. I ran, farther and faster than I ever have in my life. There were a few times when I heard something bounding through the underbrush to my side, but I didn't look. I kept running, even when my lungs felt like they were about to explode, and the stitch in my side threatened to tear me in half. I don't know whether the girl and the beast were the same, simply two halves of the same nightmare. I don't know if it's still out there, or whether it only comes when that story is read aloud. I'm going to try and find the book where Mike found the story and destroy it. Although I have to admit, I'm a little curious what else is written in those pages.